Hi, and thanks for tuning into this learning series on UrbanCode Deploy for Z. I'm Laurel Dixon-Bull. I'm the offering manager for UrbanCode Deploy. If you're new to UrbanCode Deploy, visit urbancode.com and check out the resources there. Or if you use Seismic, check UrbanCode Deploy Sales Kit. And if DevOps is a new concept for you, you can also check out the DevOps video on the IBM DevOps channel in your learning. So during this short series, we'll learn about how UrbanCode Deploy, or UCD, deploys applications to ZOS with automation that surpasses a typical library manager like Endeavor or ChangeMan. UrbanCode Deploy is a deployment automation tool for any platform, so it fits perfectly in with a Z DevOps toolchain that's becoming more and more just like a regular software delivery toolchain with tools that work for distributed and for mainframe or ZOS. For example, Git and Ansible are becoming more common for use by mainframe teams as they are for distributed software teams. And UrbanCode Deploy is an example of a deployment automation tool that deploys applications to distributed platforms and mainframe so that a team delivering an application that has a mix of mainframe and distributed components can truly be one team with one deployment tool across the entire enterprise. The mainframe controls much of the transactionally based processes in an application. So if you think about a bank or a large retail, when you go to the website, you're accessing your records, you're initiating transactions, all that processing gets done on the mainframe. And we call it also Z systems or ZOS. And the mainframe is owned by the mainframe team. Historically, mainframe teams have had specialized tools that are a bit different from distributed software teams. And that's because they deliver changes less frequently because it's not that easy on the mainframe. When they deploy software, it's a big effort. All parts of the application get deployed, not usually just what's been changed. And the deployment to production doesn't get version controlled. So UrbanCode Deploy helps with these issues, and as a bonus, UrbanCode provides tooling for non-mainframe teams too. So UrbanCode Deploy is beneficial not only because it unifies deployment automation for both the distributed and the mainframe components within an application, but also because the additional functionality in UrbanCode Deploy brings when working with legacy ZOS tools. UrbanCode Deploy can deploy Kix bind files and DB2 changes. It integrates with IBM Z system products like ZOS Connect or ZDNT, which is Z develop and test environment. UrbanCode Deploy allows you to gain visibility to deployments which are versioned and can be rolled back. And with UrbanCode Deploy, you can initiate tests and use quality gates for the mainframe. And also integrate with Artifactory and Nexus and other modern tools. This is a view of a DevOps pipeline that shows left to right where a software development change is made there by the development team. It's then stored in a software control management system. And then it gets built, and that build package is put in an artifact repository. So in this, you can see the various tools that can be used along the way for these stages. And more, these tools are tools that the distributed team would use as well. Examples being for the SCM, GitLab, GitHub, and also for the build engine, Rational Team Concert, and for testing SonarQube. Also for build, I didn't mention UrbanCode Build, which is in our portfolio, and Jenkins, which is a very common CI/CD tool. Then, so once the build package is in the artifact repository, which could be Artifactory, Nexus, or the UrbanCode Deploy code station, it's picked up by UrbanCode Deploy and deployed to either a test environment or onto production. And that could be um, uh, OpenShift or a data center or the mainframe or a public or private cloud. So, I mean, when you look at this pipeline now, this various tools in the pipeline, you start to see how ZDevOps is catching up with regular DevOps, and the tools and the processes are getting closer and closer. So now, to learn about more in detail about UrbanCode Deploy for Z, I'm going to pass you over to Senthil. He is our Z architect for UrbanCode Deploy for the Z agent, and he's going to step you through the basic functionality of UrbanCode Deploy. And when you use UrbanCode Deploy for Z, I want to mention you use basically two pieces of our products. You use the virtual server, and then you use a specialized Z agent, which is the Z agent for ZOS workloads. So, all right, thank you. Take it away, Senthil.
Hey everyone, this is Senthil. I work in the UrbanCode Deploy engineering team on the mainframe side. This video is to give you a very high level overview on what UrbanCode Deploy is, to give you the basic understanding of the vocabulary with UrbanCode Deploy. I would start with applications. Applications in UrbanCode Deploy is no different from what you call as applications in the software development lifecycle in your development world. So ideally, the application in your development cycle is what gets mapped as an application in UrbanCode Deploy. So let's say I take this CACS web service app. So this is an application in UrbanCode, an app in the real world. Now you see environments. Environments in UrbanCode Deploy are the ones where you deploy this application to. So you define multiple environments. Each one of them obviously corresponds to your dev integrations, QA, pre-prod, UAT, production environments. You can classify these environments as non-prod, prod, or any kind of classifications that you want to do, and set quality gates in saying that a QA approval is needed to be deployed to pre-prod environment. So at a high level, again, the environments are the ones where the applications finally get deployed to. How does UrbanCode Deploy know when you click a button here to deploy something that it has to deploy to this physical box, right? So that is actually done by configuring the application, the application environments to a resource tree. I would cover about resource tree in the later part, but at a high level, the idea is you have agents running on your target environment. So UrbanCode Deploy has a server, which is what you see here, typically accessed via UI. And the server holds all this information about environments, processes, and all that. And the agents are the ones which actually do the deployment. So you install an agent on your targets. In a distributed world, if you have different servers for your dev, QA, pre-prods, each server would have its own agent, and you would deploy it there. In a mainframe, the difference is that we install typically an agent to at an LPAR level. So the agents run on the LPAR, and they just sit there and wait for instructions to come from the server. So they're lightweight agents. They don't consume CPU or anything at that point. And there is a ping that comes from the agent to the server just to let the server know that the agent is live, and it can take up any work that comes up on its way. But otherwise, the agent is a lightweight agent that runs it. So you have environments here. Each of this environment is actually mapped to a particular agent, which is sitting in the mainframe world, in the mainframe LPAS, in the distributed world, in their individual boxes, right? So to answer the question of can I have one agent on my LPAR and deploy 10 applications on it? Yes, you can do that in the mainframe world. You don't. There is no limitations on the number of applications. There are some performance limitations in terms of how many parallel deployments that you can run at an agent level, and it also depends on your WLM configurations, the amount of resources that you allocate to the USS, the Unix system services, which is where predominantly UrbanCode runs. But theoretically speaking, there is no limit on number of deployments, parallel deployments that you can do. So that's about applications. That's about environments.